The cabin had always been my retreat, tucked deep into the woods where authority faded into birdsong and the only rules were set by nature itself. I built it carefully, deliberately, every nail placed with intention, every permit approved and documented. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't oversized, and it didn't disrupt a single inch of common land. It sat exactly where the county survey said it could, quietly minding its own business. That morning the forest was still, sunlight filtering through the trees in soft golden streaks when the sound of engines shattered the calm. At first I assumed it was hikers or utility workers passing through, but then the noise grew louder, closer, aggressive. I stepped onto the porch just in time to see two HOA trucks and a flatbed carrying demolition equipment roll to a stop at the edge of my driveway, kicking up dust like they owned the place. Men in hard hats jumped out, followed by a sharply dressed HOA representative clutching a thick folder, walking with the confidence of someone who had never been told no. Without greeting me, without identifying himself properly, he announced that my cabin was in violation of HOA regulations and had been approved for immediate demolition. No warning, no court order, no discussion, just a statement, delivered as if it were already settled law. I stayed calm, because panic is what bullies expect. I asked when these alleged violations had been determined, where the notices had been sent, and under what authority they planned to destroy private property. He waved me off, telling me the HOA board had already voted, that letters were mailed, and that resistance would result in fines escalating daily until compliance was achieved. He spoke loudly, deliberately, making sure the workers heard him, as if volume itself carried legal weight. When I asked to see the survey showing encroachment, he smirked and said their internal measurements were sufficient. That's when I realized this wasn't a mistake, it was a power play. The kind HOAs pull when they assume homeowners won't know their rights or won't have the resources to fight back. I informed him politely but firmly that he and his crew were trespassing and needed to leave. He laughed, a short, dismissive laugh, and said once demolition started, it would be too late to argue technicalities. One of the machines began to hum to life, its metal arm lifting slightly, casting a shadow across the cabin wall like a threat. I walked to my vehicle and retrieved a binder I always keep close, not because I expect confrontation, but because preparation is habit when you've spent a lifetime interpreting the law. I laid the documents out slowly on the hood of the HOA truck: property deed, county survey with boundary pins clearly marked, building permits stamped and approved, inspection certificates, and correspondence logs showing no violations ever issued. The representative glanced at them briefly, unimpressed, and told me HOA rules override individual paperwork. That was the moment I stopped treating him like someone confused and started treating him like someone reckless. I looked him directly in the eye and told him to halt all activity immediately. When he refused, I calmly stated that any further action would constitute unlawful destruction of property and expose everyone present to serious legal consequences. He crossed his arms and asked, "And who exactly is going to stop us?" That's when I told him. No raised voice, no threat, just facts. I informed him that I am a federal judge, that I specialize in property and administrative law, and that what he was attempting to do fell well outside the authority of any homeowners association in the country. The effect was immediate and unmistakable. The confidence drained from his face as he picked up the documents again, this time reading them carefully, his fingers trembling slightly. One of the workers quietly shut off the machinery. Another removed his helmet, suddenly very aware that he was standing in the middle of something far bigger than a routine job. I explained, slowly and clearly, that HOA boards do not have the authority to order demolition without a court order, that surveys conducted without licensed professionals are legally meaningless, and that attempting to proceed after being informed of lawful ownership could elevate this from a civil dispute to criminal liability. I reminded him that federal jurisdiction applies when due process is violated, and that intimidation tactics do not substitute for lawful procedure. Phones came out. Calls were made. The tone shifted from aggressive to apologetic in less than 5 minutes. The same man who laughed at me earlier now referred to me as Your Honor, asking if there was any way to resolve the situation peacefully. I told them resolution would begin with immediate withdrawal from my property, written confirmation that the demolition order was void, and a full review of the HOA board's conduct. I also advised him, generously, that he might want to consult legal counsel before attempting anything like this again. The crew packed up in silence, trucks reversing slowly down the dirt road as if afraid to make noise. The forest returned to its quiet state, the threat gone as quickly as it arrived. Within 24 hours, I received a formal apology, confirmation that all fines were rescinded, and notification that HOA records had been corrected. No demolition, no appeal, no further contact. The cabin still stands exactly where it belongs, as a reminder that authority without understanding is dangerous, and that sometimes the person you try to intimidate has spent a lifetime enforcing the very laws you chose to ignore.